Right, it's Matt here, and I'm back with another video because I want to talk about single speeding on my all-city space horse. There was a mad plan hatched to ride to Brighton overnight from London. Owen, you're to blame for that. So Owen, who's got his charge plug, which is like a city single speed, wanted to ride it on that. So I thought I would do the honourable thing and convert my all-city space horse to single speed so that I could join him. I used to have a Genesis day one, which would have been absolutely perfect for this ride. It was, yeah, single speed, really nice and smooth riding, drop handlebars. But unfortunately I got rid of that a couple of years ago, so I had to convert my space horse instead. Now, when I first thought about doing this, I did what I normally do before I make changes on this, and that's have a look at the Blue Lug website, which is like that's the system of record when it comes to space horse builds. And you know, I was looking for an example I could copy which was like straight through, no tension or anything, and a couple of them caught my eye. There was one which turned out to be a slightly older frame. It wasn't the disc brake version, and that was straight through, but that has semi-sliding dropouts, that version of the frame, which is a bit older, which I don't have, so that allows for the chain tensioning. And then there was a slightly more modern disc version of the frame, which is what I've got, which was straight through as well, but that had the the eccentric BB. So that's the BB that sort of ovalizes almost the bottom bracket shell, so that you can then kind of change the position of the crank and get some tension that way at the front. So I didn't really want to do that because it was, you know, it was potentially just going to be a temporary thing. So yeah, had to start looking at chain tensions because I didn't really fancy. Yeah, I think there is a way you can just go for a perfect chain length, but I didn't really want to do that either. I wanted to just have something straightforward that was going to work smoothly. So started looking at chain tensioners, did a bit of research. There's obviously quite a few options, but I went with the Surly Singleator just because you can't miss with Surly really. So yeah, went with the Surly Singleator, and then I got some, like a little spacer kit for the back and a wolf tooth cog to match my wolf tooth chainring. So the ride was going to be 100k with about 1,000 meters of climbing, so not flat. So I was thinking, what ratio do I go for? I've got 38 at the front. In the end, I went for an 18 at the back. Now, Owen was doing it on his charge plug city bike, which I think was 42 at the front and 16 at the back. So this 38-18 was going to give me about a 20% easier ratio than his city bike, which I think, given it was going to be such a lumpy route, I felt like that was a sensible way to go, even if it meant spinning a bit on the false flat downhills. I thought that was the trade-off worth making. So when it came to getting it on, it's pretty straightforward. I obviously took the cassette off, put a few spacers on, put the cog on, and then just played around with the spacers until the chain line was straight. And then the way you put the tensioner on, you just screw it onto the derailleur hanger, obviously, that you then have to sort of preload it with this little nut at the back, and then nip down the bolt. And what was strange about this was I found I had a couple of tools that I could use to do this loading, and they both were getting stuck. At first it was on the quick release nut, which I spotted, and then I thought I'll try it slightly less. Try torquing it slightly less, and it was still getting stuck. So I ended up having to sand down the outside of the spanner, which was a bit strange. I hadn't seen anyone else in videos that I checked out. I hadn't seen anyone else struggling with that, so don't really know why that is. But either way, sanded it down a bit and was able to then nip the bolt down and get it out. So yeah, and I went for the pull down approach just because the Singleator comes set up for pull down, and it just felt like I thought to myself, I'll try it that way, the simplest way first, see if it works, and if not, I'll go for the push up, which involves turning the spring round inside the tensioner and then just having the chain run above the pulley. But yeah, didn't really need to do that in the end. It worked absolutely fine first time. And yeah, after a couple of test rides, we were off on our London to Brighton, and it worked really well. I actually really enjoyed cycling it. You know, before the ride, I'd been watching and reading a bit about the Tour Divide, which is this ride in the US from the US-Canada border down to the US-Mexico border, which is 4,000 and 65,000 meters of climbing. And I was surprised because what caught my eye about it is that single speeding seems to be very popular, getting more popular for that now, despite how severe the route is. There's still a lot of people who do it on single speed for the simplicity and reliability of the setup. So I was intrigued to give it another go on a bit of a harder route that doesn't in any way compare to the Tour Divide, but it was still good fun, and managed to get it up. We both managed to get our bikes over virtually every hill apart from the last one, which is Ditchling Beacon, which is the toughest climb of the lot, which is 1.5k at 10-11 sort of percent, I think it is. So yeah, had to do a fair bit of pushing on that, but all in all was really pleased that I gave this a go, and yeah, looking forward to using it a bit more. The only issue is not really compatible with follow me biking, because I just find around here I need some gears when I'm towing someone behind me uphill, because it's normally when I've got somebody up the back, we're normally going uphill. So unfortunately I'm probably going to have to take it off fairly soon so I can get going with that again, but I'm going to enjoy a couple more rides before I have to do that.